today I'm going to do a question and answer just on hummingbirds. I've got so many questions, and there's always people asking me. Even in the grocery store when I go places, they see me buying tons of sugar. I go in there and I'll buy sometimes 20, 30 bags of sugar, and they'll ask me what I'm doing. So then they have a lot of questions. But there's been a lot of really good questions, and I've got my computer set up so I can kind of look at it and answer the questions the best I can. Rest a while, y'all. She loves my kitchen window. I know. I have a good husband. He doesn't mind me taking a scissors and cutting the screens. I cut the screens, and then I can lift it up, and I put a hook on the window on the inside, and then I can swing it in, and I can put my feeder on there and swing it out the window. Does that mean my window doesn't shut? Yes. My window doesn't shut. It's on a second story, kind of, so it's okay the way that the kitchen was built. So it's not like anybody can get in, because the dogs would get them first, and they wouldn't be able to get to the second story. So I can't close the windows all the way unless I swing the feeder on the inside, and then because the hook is screwed into the wall on the inside on the windowsill. So it works out good. I can always put a stick there. If you had to do it, you can always just close window. I have like strips of foam, so I can close the window to keep the cold air out, and then you can put a stick in your window if it's a sliding window. How do you dissolve the sugar in the water? Thanks, great info. And that's TSX3214. What I do is I have a certain amount that I know I'm going to make every day, sometimes twice a day, and that is I have an 8-cup container, and I put 2 cups of sugar in it, and instead of measuring any more, all I do is take some boiling water and I put some boiling water in there, or let it cool a little bit, the boiling water, literally just for a few minutes. I stir it and stir it and stir it, it will dissolve, and then I'll add the rest with cold water. Does that make it a little less water? Probably, because the way I do it, maybe, but it works fine. So I put in the 2 cups of sugar into my 8-cup container, and I pour boiling water in there, stir it up, and fill it to the top, and it works. Oh, and somebody had asked me if I let it cool. Let me see if I can find that question. I don't need to let it cool because I'm not adding that much hot water, so it's barely warm. You know what? I'll probably find it as I go through the questions. So it's cold already the way I do it. If you're pouring it in boiling water, some people, like you're making Jello or something, and if you're pouring in boiling water, then you definitely want it to cool. So you either leave it out on your counter or put it in the fridge. But doing it kind of, it's not even half and half. It's just a small amount of boiling water and then topping it with cold after it dissolves and it goes clear. It's barely warm. So I don't have to wait till it cools because it's already cool. Okay, Dixie says normally you would clean once a season. No, I guess normally you would clean once a season or when the container is empty. If you're talking about a season like all spring or all summer or all winter or all fall, if you're cleaning it once a season, they're not coming. That's all I can say is they're not coming, because it's going to go rancid. After a couple weeks, definitely you're going to have bacteria and stuff growing in the sugar water. So maybe you're feeding them, and then the hummingbirds are drinking it all up. And if the hummingbirds don't come, your ants will find it, and then your ants will get in there and empty it out. No, I would not wait once a season. I'm not going to tell anybody what to do. You do it the way you want. And that's the way I've always been on everything I do. And I would say do it the way you want, but I would not wait once a season. I would definitely at least every 2 weeks. Absolutely at least every 2 weeks. I don't have to think about that because they're empty within hours here. And that's the other thing. When you first start off, it's going to take time for the hummingbirds to find your feeder and to get used to it. So I would just put a small amount. If it's, if you've got a hummingbird feeder like this, just put that much in, a small amount. Don't make a whole bunch. Make 1 cup to 1/4 cup of sugar. And don't even fill that. Put it in your fridge and put a small amount in and let them find it. you don't want it to sit out there for weeks. And then sometimes you only have one hummingbird that decides the whole feeder is theirs, and then you got a problem. So with those feeders, I do put a small amount in. And it happens here too. They're very territorial, especially when they're having babies, and they'll guard their feeder. So at that point, start with a small amount. I definitely wouldn't wait a whole season. I personally would never. I don't. Like I said, when I take it down, if it looks really clean still, I wash it really good in the sink with maybe just some water, hot water, rinse it really good. If it looks like it's starting to go, or it's been a while since I washed it, then I will definitely wash it with either soap and water, baking soda, or something. And if it's really bad, use a little bleach and water, a small amount, a teaspoon of bleach to a cup of water, and just wash it real good. It takes care of any mildew stains or anything that grows on that. Isn't it important to use tap water for food? I only use spring water and no chemicals added. And that is Charlene Richards. I would say if you can drink the water, and because some people are on wells and there's different things, or they're on chloramine. That's another issue. If you can drink the water and it's okay for you and your kids, it's going to be fine for the birds. Don't worry about it. It's going to be fine. So I would say personally, I don't worry about it. If you want to use spring water, more power to you. That's fine. Brita, one of the water filters would be fine too. Right now we have just the regular chlorine in our water a little bit, and so it's fine. But when it has chloramine, boy, do I feel chloramine. I took a shower one day and my skin was burning, and I called the water department just outraged. And I said, what did you do? And I found out that they had put chloramine without telling anybody, and some people are allergic to it, and boy, I felt it. So that kind of scares me because that's a little bit strong. So if you think you've got chloramine, that's the one that doesn't evaporate at all, then maybe go ahead and use bottled water, or at least filtered water, but bottled water would be better at that point. Otherwise, if it's safe for you and the kids to drink, I would say go for it. It's fine. Thanks for the great idea, Inga, I-N-G-E. Thank you. But I don't want to miss anybody, and I'm looking for them across the room onto my computer. No glasses. Let's see, once a day. Oh wow, I was thinking more like once a week. That is Story. Copley, C-O-L-O-P-Y. Or she waits till it gets dirty. Once a week is good. Once a week will be fine too. Kitty, you want to come here? Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Come here. You're watching me? Okay. Once a week is okay if it's, if the weather's cooler, then you're not going to have any issues, and that would be fine. If you definitely see it getting a little black around the edges or something, I would definitely clean it no matter when it is. If it's, sometimes when the weather gets really warm, your feeder will be really clean in the morning, and then you'll go to change it at night and see a little bit of black around the rim on the inside, wash it. That's what I would say. So it does, everybody's weather is different. If it's cooler, then don't worry about it. That's my opinion. If it's really cool and you change it at night and it still looks clean, just rinse it. I always rinse it though. I always rinse it. Because sometimes you want to go down? Sometimes you can stick your finger in it and you can feel it might be slimy, and you may not see it. So that's why I like getting that toothbrush in there and cleaning it. Little Bean, awesome tips and information. Oh, Little Bean! Hi, Little Bean! I never planned on doing a garden channel. I used to write for magazines and stuff, and I thought, oh, I'm never going to do any editing or anything like this. And she was like one of the first ones that just came in here and started commenting, and was like, whoa, what's going on? I was really surprised. This has been fun. It's really similar to writing articles or books or something, except I get to talk, so I don't have to go back and check my spelling and everything. I love this. But hi, Little Bean. And she sent me a bunch of stuff. I didn't even know this girl. And she sent me an apron and a beautiful flower pot that I keep in my kitchen window, and kitchen utensils and seeds and all kinds of stuff. I mean, the box was full. It was amazing. So she is amazing. Baking soda kills mold. I brush my teeth with it too. And now she has to go to Dollar Tree. She's talking about the mascara brush. Yeah, I love baking soda. I use like a little jar. Oh, and that is from, let's see, HIOMA. R-O-K-O Woods. Hiroko Woods. Yeah, I keep a little, like, you know, you'll buy spices at the store and then the jar is empty and it's a really nice little jar. It can be glass and you got the shaker. I just fill it up with baking soda and I keep it next to my sink in the bathroom. And when I go to brush my teeth, I use toothpaste too. I just shake it on top. It really makes your mouth taste good too. So, I love baking soda. What do you use to wash the mascara brush, or the mascara off the mascara brush? You know, let me move this. I'm not the mascara. You better be able to wash it. You have to wash it off your face. I would just get a, you know, mascara. Like this one's from the 99-cent store. It's a cheap made. Don't want to show the brand, but it's a cheap made. And see this? You just, first you get all of it off with paper towels. Wipe it really, really good with paper towels until you get most of the black off. Oh, now I'm going to be full of black for the rest of the video. And just keep wiping it and wiping it. You'll get it. If you have to use a couple paper towels, eventually you'll get it all off. And then just wash it in soap and water. This, you do not put it, oh, okay. That you do not put, I'm a one-take girl. That's why I don't shut cameras off and start over. Just deal with it. This you don't put back, this you throw away. You're done with this. In the trash. Mine's in the trash, not the compost. You can't eat it, so don't compost it. But this, yeah, you just wipe it all off really good, and eventually it will come off. It's not that hard. And then just in the sink, soap and water, it doesn't matter. You want to use a little scrubbing, you know, like cleanser or something. Scrub it off until you get the black off, and then it will clean up. It's really easy. I'll tell you something, and I forgot about this. I have gone into some department stores. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it. Starts with a K. You know what? I like the department store, so I'm going to say it. Sometimes you can go to Kohl's, check out other department stores, and in their makeup department, I have seen them put mascara brushes out to test makeup, and then they've got a trash can there to throw the mascara brushes away. No, I did not go through their trash can. Not that I didn't think about it, but I didn't go through their trash can. But I have tried on makeup there. No, I'm sorry. I was going to. I wouldn't do it, everybody doing it. But I did take a mascara brush. They were free. The lady said at the counter, go ahead and take one. So sometimes they have little mascara brushes right there in the store. So go try out some makeup when you're at Kohl's. See if they've got it. They don't always have it there. But see if they've got it. And if they do, go ahead and try their makeup. Decide if you want to buy it. If you really like it, buy it. Their makeup's good. I've bought mascara from them before. It's not $1. Nowhere near. And I had a $10 off coupon, so I bought some mascara there. And it's still, the $10 off coupon didn't cover the mascara. So, but anyways, now I digress. But anyways, if you go into a department store and you can check around at their makeup department and see if they've got any test mascara brushes, and then just try your, you want to be honest, so you want to definitely try their makeup, and then keep the brush. Don't throw it in the trash. Put it in a purse, or just tell them you're walking out with it, you're keeping it. You don't want to throw the brush away and end up in the landfill. Tell them it's terrible. It should not be in the landfill. Tell them that you're taking it home to save it so it won't go into the landfill. Okay, so that's on that. Let's see. Oh, Ben Winkle. He wants me to send him some hummingbirds. Yeah, I know he's kidding. Boy, I'll tell you, when the zoos and animal parks need hummingbirds, that is one of the toughest birds to ever import out or into a country. Because with most parrots and birds, they go into large containers, and there is seed and, let's say, apples or certain fruits that are allowed depending on where they're going. And they can nibble on that all day. With hummingbirds, it doesn't work that way. They're not like dogs or cats or other birds. They literally have to make sure they're feeding, because your parrots will go to sleep and your other birds will go to sleep, but hummingbirds, no, they're burning all day. And if they move, they burn so much energy. So, wow, I remember years ago they used to bring a lot of the hummingbirds and through quarantine, and I just remember I have never seen the birds themselves because I was never interested in hummingbirds to, imported hummingbirds, but I'm just saying they used to years ago import them, and it was an ordeal to bring in hummingbirds because they have to have that constant supply of food. That's why their food is so important, because they're burning all day. The only time they're not burning is at night when they're sleeping. So I can't send you hummingbirds. But anyways, they're a tough little guy, and that's why it's so important to help them out, because even though the gardens are full of flowers and everything, if they've got babies, you are really helping them out so they can go and hunt those flowers and get a little bit of pollen and get the nectar, and they even can collect some of them, little teeny little bugs. But by giving them sugar water, you're helping them out. And that's why so many of them on our property, we have seen them have multiple nests. And instead of just raising 1 or 2 nests, they'll do sometimes 3 nests. And each nest has 2 eggs. And they can raise 6 babies if you help them out. And what's really cool is I've had them at the kitchen window, and the mom had that hummingbird feeder was hers. And she was the only one out of that particular hummingbird feeder feeding on him. If I'm black, I'm full of ink. I was working on some projects today. Sorry. I just think I'm still full of ink. But anyways, she was protecting the hummingbird feeder for herself. But each time, it was so fascinating, each time she had babies, those 2 babies could feed on the hummingbird feeder. So now it was the 3 of them. And then the next nest, she would let those 2 babies. So now it was the 5. And then the nest, well, after the last nest, they don't become that protective over feeders because they're pretty much on their own, everybody. So you would see her bring her babies back to the feeder that she was guarding, that was hers. So I think that they're fascinating birds, smart birds. I mean, they will remember feeders. It's just amazing. I saw something recently where a guy had a hat and there were holes in him, and they thought they were kind of wrong on that because they thought the bird was poking through the hat thinking it was a flower, and what it was actually thinking, because this hat I don't think has any holes in it. Oh yeah, it does. See the little holes? What the hummingbirds do sometimes is they'll think it's a hummingbird feeder because they're so used to looking for those little holes, and so once in a while they'll go to people with red hats and they'll be looking for those holes to see if by any chance it's a hummingbird feeder. If they're real, I'm going to use the word tame, meaning they're used to feeding from hummingbird feeders. So really, it's really nice to help them out. Let's see what other questions I've got. If you like me answering questions this way, I can do other videos too, and maybe if there's a lot of questions for Gary, I can drag him in. He's a very quiet guy. This is all very new to him. I'm the big mouth in the family. I've always been a big mouth. I used to get in trouble when I went to grammar school in LA, and my name was always on the chalkboard because I couldn't close my mouth. I was always talking. I like talking. So I'm used to talking. I may talk too much and then say something wrong and have to correct it, but I'm used to talking. He's quiet. See, thanks for the tip. That was Jim. No problem. I hope I can help some people out. Any questions? And maybe people will teach me things too. Let's see. Patty Hayden. She said she's a bad mom. She cleans the feeder whenever it's dirty about twice a year. Well, you could be feeding it, cleaning it, really? It's about twice a year. Refill the feeder about twice a month. Well, the twice a month, every 2 weeks. That's right. I would definitely, even if it looks clean, you might be in a cooler area where it doesn't grow mold. I would definitely just get some baking soda in there and swish it around, and take your toothbrush or a paintbrush like I talked about in the other video and get it in there and wash real good. And just check it, because if it gets really bad, they may not feed out of it. So you might be putting a hummingbird feeder out, wondering where are all the hummingbirds. Well, they came over, they checked it out, it wasn't good, and they left. So if it's clean, they'll feed from it. Again, they have to find it and they have to get used to it. If your area has not had a lot of hummingbird feeders and suddenly there's a feeder, they're not going to know suddenly what it is. They're going to check it out and be real leery, and then once they figure it out, they'll feed from it. But I would clean it more than that. I would clean it at least twice a month. That would be good. That's just my opinion. Let's see, she uses baking soda. Vinegar works great for mineral deposits. That's true, it does. Enjoy watching your videos. Damartz, D-A-M-A-R-T-Z, Raya? I'm really bad with names. R-A-Y-A, that was her question. Yeah, vinegar is good. You can wash it. That would be excellent and great idea. I don't use vinegar for washing my hummingbird feeders, and I use vinegar for other things. So she or he is, they are right. Baking soda with vinegar would be perfect for cleaning. Absolutely perfect. Margaret Rosin, I think she had a lot of questions. And let's see, I actually wrote some of her questions down. She's got a lot of hummingbirds. Oh, that's right. When she waters, she was saying how the hummingbirds, they come to the hose. I've got that too. When I'm out there watering sometimes, I have a lot of water fountains now, so they take a lot of baths in that. But before I had all the water fountains, I'd be out there spraying the hose, and they'd be flying through it and trying to take a bath, and that is so fun. That is really, really fun. Let's see. Am I done? Oh, no. I'm not done. Okay, so I've answered that one, I think. I hope, if I missed anybody, I'm really sorry. Let's see. I've been reading up on hummingbird feeders. This is Gabrielle Kadar, Kadar. I've been reading up on hummingbird feeders, and they also attract bees and wasps. How do you deal with this? Generally, if you're putting up a hummingbird feeder just for hummingbirds, see the holes are small, they really can't get in there. So you're not going to have a problem with bees or wasps. I haven't had a problem with wasps at all. Not at all. But once in a while, the bees, the honeybees, if the hole is too big, they'll go back to the hive and tell everybody. And then you'll have all the bees and the hummingbirds trying to get in, and the hummingbirds don't like bees. And they'll buzz around and leave. So make sure your hummingbird, if you've got a problem with honeybees in your area or a wasp, make sure the hummingbird feeder you get has small holes. That's all you have to remember, is small holes. And if you do that, you'll be good to go. Let me show you an old feeder. I don't use this one anymore. It's kind of breaking. See the holes on this? See how big they are? I took the flowers off to feed the orioles. And see the holes? A honeybee can't get into that. And as soon as they figure out they can get into that, they will go home and they will tell all their friends if they find it, and then they'll empty out your feeder. My neighbor's got bees. I told him he owes me honey because I had that happen where they emptied out the feeder, and they can empty it out in a matter of hours. So just make sure you keep flowers on them. So I think that's it as far as questions. Let me double check. I think I've gotten most of them at least. Let's see. She's got ruby-throated hummingbirds in her yard. That's Gabriella. Let's see if the holes are too big. I answered her question. I thought there was one more there. I don't mean to just make you sit around. Let's see. Let me show you a couple other tips. I think I've got most of them. I can come back and do this if you guys like that. So I covered the mascara. White sugar, I've covered that. I've covered how I do the water. This feeder is actually, it's fine. It's a cheap feeder from your dollar store. And they get them all the time here. I don't know if all of them get it. Even though it's cheap and it is plastic, they only tend to last 1 or 2 seasons. If you hang it in the sun, they become brittle and you've got it for 1 season. You know, all spring and summer, which is still good. You might get through the fall. If you get glass ones and if you hang it in the shade, it will go longer. So I'll have it for a couple years. This is not a bad feeder. This feeder, before it started falling apart, because this one's older, I don't like these feeders. You can use them. I'm not going to tell you not to use them, but let me show you something. Hopefully that doesn't roll on the floor. You can't take this apart. You can pull the flowers off, and as the flowers dry out, they get brittle, and then you can't put them back because they crack apart. You have to get a paintbrush inside there and scrub around. You do have to soak this thing in bleach because you cannot get into it. I thought the screw on the bottom would help to take off. No, it has nothing to do with the unit. You cannot take this apart, and unfortunately, some of the very expensive ones, you cannot take apart. So before you go out and invest any money in it, look over all the hummingbird feeders. Really look it over, because this is something I never really thought about it in the beginning. Check it out and see if you can get that base apart, because if you can't get it apart, it's really hard to clean. This cheap hummingbird feeder, 99 cents, let's say $1, I can clean this with a toothbrush or a paintbrush and get in there and wash that. Look at this. Can you believe that? It comes apart. I can wash this, scrub it. The flowers, I can get that mascara brush right in there. Look at that. Scrub that, clean that off. Look at that. I can clean this whole thing spotless in 2 minutes. And just wash around where it screws in, because sometimes it'll get black. Just make sure if it's getting black, definitely use either your baking soda and vinegar or a little bleach and water, but get that cleaned up. But that is amazing. The genius of taking a cheap hummingbird feeder and making it where the whole thing comes apart. Now, this comes off too. You can unscrew this, but that's not going to get into your feeder, so it doesn't matter if it gets dirty under there. That's all you need to feed hummingbirds. And if you're feeding hummingbirds for the first time, don't go out there and make 8 cups of hummingbird food, because you may be throwing it away. Make 1 cup of water to a 1/4 cup of sugar. And don't fill it, because they may not find it. They have to find it first. Kind of put it out in an area that maybe you've seen hummingbirds, and if you haven't seen hummingbirds, then don't hide it. Put it out in the open so they can see it, because they're always zipping around if you've got hummingbirds in your area. But if you hide it like up against bushes and stuff, and you don't have flowers on that bush, they're not going to find it. So either put it among your flowers where you've seen hummingbirds, or get it out in the open so they'll find it. But get a hummingbird feeder, really, that you can take apart. Some of the expensive ones you can, I've looked, but it's amazing that they make some of these and they can go for $20, $30, $40 and you can't get them apart. So it's just so hard to take it apart. So with that, I think I'm going to end that. I think I've answered almost all the questions. If I've said your name wrong, I'm really sorry. I'm doing my best. And I think I've answered all your questions. If you like this method of me answering questions, it gives me a chance to talk and explain myself a little bit better. Please give me a thumbs up. If you don't like it, please don't give me a thumbs down. Just don't do anything. That's it. And it would be great if you would like and subscribe if you haven't. And if you don't want to, that's fine too. Everybody's always welcome. It's fine, but it would be nice. So with that, I'm going to go and hope to get some more videos up really soon and get into a bunch of subjects that I like when it comes to gardening and composting and bringing the birds in the garden. So have a great day, and don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye. I hope you taped.